Saturday, May 13th, 2023. I'm Larissa. This is my video diary. I had a dream last night. That's why I'm crying. I'm not crying because the Warriors lost. That was a bummer. Big bummer. But they weren't playing to win, it didn't look like. Not last night. And who knows why? Who knows why? So, watching that was a bummer. But I had a dream last night. I miss my grandma so much. I do. I miss her so much. Her funeral. Her wake. Oh, they did such a terrible job. It didn't look like her at all. They sewed her mouth shut all weird, and they made this awful expression on her face. I dreamed last night. And I went back to her house. And I walked in and I could smell her. And I don't mean my grandma wasn't stinky. I could smell her soap and her hair. And she wasn't there. Usually when I have dreams where I go to her house, she's there. She's usually there in the kitchen. She wasn't there, but I could smell her. I walked into her bedroom, and everything in the house was just the way it was. The last time I was there, before my parents moved them out of there, all the knickknacks and everything was there. And I walked into her bedroom, and it was nighttime. She wasn't there. And I called out to Omar, but he wasn't there either. I was alone. I was like, Omar, do you want to sleep in this bed? Normally we would have slept down in the basement. It was finished. There was a sleeper sofa down there. And her bedspread, she had this big ivory bedspread. It had these big, like, Waverly style. It wasn't a Waverly print, but these big flowers. It was more contemporary. A broader pattern. This big embroidered or appliqued flower on the bedspread. Her bed was so hard. My grandma lived with such horrible pain. I touched the pillow and her nightstand there that had her inhaler and her rosary and her big gay. Her bedside table was glass. It was a brass frame with glass shelves. And I rubbed my feet together. It wasn't me farting. I don't know if you could hear that in the background. I rubbed my feet together. I'd ask you to pull my finger first. Anyway, next to her nightstand, then on her cane, and her cane was there. Next to her nightstand were her two favorite pairs of shoes, and her closet. And then there's the little dresser that was on the wall between the closet and the door. And I went over there, and she had this silver rosary that she got in Guatemala. It was in a little silver woven basket. And it was the basket was sitting there, and there was a ring next to it, a big signet ring. And it wasn't a ring it wasn't one that I ever remember. This was something that was just in the dream. The basket was there. That was always there on that shelf or on that dresser. There was this ring, and it had some insignia on it, and it was silver. The insignia was silver set, or it might have been platinum. It was a white metal. It wasn't gold. It wasn't yellow gold. Yeah, it looked more like platinum than silver because of the color. Just picturing it in my head. But it had this insignia. It was like a coat of arms. It was raised, and it was set inside of an amethyst. It was big. It was like this big. It was flat, except for the raised silver that had been set down into it in lapidary work. And I touched it. I looked at it. I sat it back down. And then her dresser, which was at the foot of the bed, with the mirror, big round. And then on her dresser, she always had some stuff that was on her dresser, jewelry box and stuff. But there was all this other stuff that wasn't. There were all these they were like crystal candy jars, these like bowls with lids, right? And they were heavy. They were leaded crystal, and I was picking the lids off, and I was looking at there were all these there's all these brilliantly cut stones and that looked like candy, there were stones, and they were all grouped differently. And then the wall where the window was covered in this straw, it was like woven straw. It's not the way it was in real life. In real life, it was just the wall. There was a curtain on the window and the chair. That chair where it sat in her room. And the wall was covered halfway, top down, like a thatched roof, and it was all woven. And there were all these candles that were sitting on a shelf underneath it. This didn't exist in real life. This was just in the dream. And the candles kept lighting, and I was like, oh, the candles will be pretty. But then I'm like, oh no, this is scary. The candles underneath this thatch, and the thatch kept catching fire. The thatch caught fire and burned halfway down, and I got it all patted out. I got it out, and it was really interesting because it smelled sweet. It was bear grass, right? It smelled sweet like when you burn bear grass. And the room was filled with this twinkling light. And I laid down on her side of the bed. And I went to sleep. And I could smell her. I really miss my grandma. I miss her so